Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews, and today we're reviewing Dog Day Afternoon. Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. I'm Wyatt, this week joined by Vern, and today we're talking about the 1975 classic Dog Day Afternoon, starring legendary actor Al Pacino. This movie is directed by Sidney Lumet, also known for Serpico. He directed Al Pacino in that movie. I would love to review that at some point. Very good movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Would love to do that eventually. He also directed Murder on the Orient Express, kind of like a whodunit mystery movie. And also The Wiz, which is like a version of The Wizard of Oz in a way. I think it has Michael Jackson in it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but I know of it. I've heard a lot about it.
right.
But yeah, this movie is starring Al Pacino and John Cazale. Al Pacino was coming off of Godfather 1 and Part 2, as well as Serpico at this point. He's already blown up. Everybody knows Al Pacino is. John Cazale, he was also in the Godfather movies. He was Fredo, so they also have history. Al Pacino actually kind of fought for him to be in this movie, because Sal, who he plays in the movie, was actually supposed to be 18. He was supposed to be way younger.
Really?
Yeah, but Al Pacino fought
I had
for
no
him.
idea.
Yeah, fought for him being this. And that actually leads into it. This is a true story. Like, there's only like maybe two parts that are a little, not even exaggerated, just kind of not really how it happened, but for a majority of the movie, 90% is what actually happened in real life.
Yeah.
And
that's one of the best parts about it, going into it, knowing that this was pretty much cut and dry what happened.
Yeah, and it happened in 1972, only like 3 years before the movie came out here. Now, it was originally, the movie was titled The Boys in the Bank. And as you notice, if you ever seen the movie, there's no score in it at all. The only music that's in the movie is at the very beginning, at the opening credits. But that's like a song on the radio in the car they're sitting in. But there's no music the rest of the movie.
I didn't realize that until you just said something, and thinking back on it, there was none, and it really didn't bother me. It was like it had my attention the whole time. I was so into it as to what was happening next that I didn't think about the music in the background. And it's weird because a lot of times music pushes a movie forward.
Yeah, it really does. And I think it worked in this because after that initial point, because I knew about the fact kind of going into it, I didn't really notice it at all. I was thoroughly like hooked the whole time. I didn't even think about the music in it because there was always something going on.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie. First day of shooting, they completely lost because Al Pacino had a mustache in this because he wanted to look just like the original guy, John Wojciechowicz, I think his name was. And they shot a whole day with that, and they were like, no, doesn't look right, shave it off, and they lost it. They pretty much had to shoot that whole day the next day just to do that. Thought that was pretty funny.
Just because he had a mustache.
Just because he had a mustache, and they were just like, no, don't like it. Doesn't look right. So they lost a whole day of work. Right. Just because of that.
Yeah.
This movie won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, even though a lot of the movie was improvised. They did have a script for it, but Al Pacino ended up, riffing on a lot of the stuff. Apparently, some of the phone calls he ended up just kind of improving with. And it was also nominated for like 5 other awards, including Best Picture that year, but ended up they lost out though. So it was a pretty big movie at the time. I know it is a classic, but you don't really hear about this movie too much.
See, that's one thing I wanted to ask you because I wasn't too sure of. Like, how big was this? Like, what was the type of reception that this movie got when it first came out? You know?
Yeah. Apparently, it was very well received. This was just furthering Al Pacino's career at this time as a great actor.
I loved it. Like, just to start it all, like, before we even really get too deep into it, I loved it. Start to finish, it was awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was funny, you started watching it before I did, because this is very rare on Cinema Trip. Neither of us have seen this movie going into it. Usually one of us has seen a movie before going in, unless we're doing a brand new movie. But both of us went into this fresh. But I remember you texted me saying, like, I love the feel of this movie. It's like very 70s.
Immediately.
Yeah. And it's very, it's kind of slow paced throughout the whole thing, but like I said, there's always something that's got you hooked throughout the whole thing.
Like, it didn't feel like I know what you mean by how it feels slow paced, but there was always something to listen to, always something to kind of keep your eyes on,
Yeah.
always something to grab your attention, you know.
Yeah.
So it pulled you through the whole movie without really thinking about, oh, this is 2 hours long.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we'll hop right into it here. Like we said, the movie opens up with a music, just Elton John song playing, and it goes in, and they're just trying kind of chilling in a car outside of the bank.
Case in the joint.
Yeah, just casing. You could tell they're very nervous. The one dude gets out and kind of walks up and looks in, and kind of goes back. And then they just kind of one by one go into the bank. It's closing time. They're kind of locking up the drawers. The guard's getting ready to close up for the night. And I don't know if this was normal in the 70s, but Al Pacino just walks in with this huge box. It immediately thought, my mind went to Terminator 2 with Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in and he just pulls that shotgun out of the rose box and all the roses falling everywhere.
It's and when, like we were saying, kind of going back a minute, when they were casing the joint, that cop or the guard out front has got to be like a couple weeks away from retiring.
Yeah, this dude old. He old.
He's old, and because I'm watching it thinking, this dude don't see these guys out here, and as the movie goes on, you realize, this dude is old. He don't really do much around, he's not really a guard, more or less just
any other mainstream movie, they probably would have made, some dialogue in there, yep, I'm only a week away from retirement. So, they would have put that dialogue in there.
But, I at very first, I had a problem with it. I was like, how is this guard not see them, first of all, it just didn't. I was like, oh God, and then, like you're saying, dude walks in with a giant box, and I'm thinking, the only thing, security, safe box, you know what I mean, the security boxes, but it blew my mind too. I'm like, how you just gonna get away with walking in, nobody's gonna check your box? Another thing the guard kind of dropped the ball on. But he was pretty old.
You could tell that they never done this because of how nervous they seem, and not only that, but they're also being somewhat cautious. Not only cautious, but you could tell they kind of have a heart, because they're specifically looking at the little kid in there, and they wait for the kid and his mom to leave before they start everything. Yep. And as you see throughout the rest of the movie, they're not there to hurt anybody at all. That's not the point. That's not why they're there. But they're kind of all separated, and then one of unlike the Terminator 2, like I mentioned, where Arnold Schwarzenegger just so smoothly just pulls that shotgun out of the box, not so smooth in this movie.
Nobody move! Get over there! Okay.
Ripping this gun out of this, it's like a rifle. It's not even like a shotgun either.
It's like a hunting rifle. It's just here's shells hitting the ground and
ripping
stuff
it out of the box.
It's ridiculous.
And
but he gets out.
Yeah, and Sal has like a submachine gun. He just kind of sits down with the manager and pulls it out on him and stuff.
It was smooth.
Super smooth. He pulled it out of a briefcase. He just sits down.
Pulls this briefcase open and pulls the gun out and just was like, keep talking. Act like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
The manager's just like, okay, I'll call you back. And he just hangs up the phone there, and complete opposite of what Pacino did.
Yeah. And that's whenever the third guy, you don't see him long. The guy that was originally casing the joint, he immediately bails. He's just like, nope, can't do it. And there's a couple little parts in this movie that are funny, including as he's walking out, he's like, give me the keys. He's like, "What? How am I gonna get home?" He's like, "What do you mean walk home? Give me the keys."
Walk home. Get away.
Stevie, don't take the car.
Well, how will I get home?
Take the subway. We need the car. Stevie, the keys.
But as he's walking out, he immediately sees a lady under her desk, and then comes back and is like, "Hey, there's a lady under the desk in here."
And it's funny because Pacino, like you said, you could tell they're so freaked out. I could feel his anxiety.
Yeah.
He was doing such a good job of portraying just I felt like he was robbing a bank and going through the trauma and struggle of whatever that would be, just doing that as a first time as someone who's not really a criminal, just doing it for money for whatever reason.
You see the evolution of him as he's going through the movie, as he comes in, suit and tie, he's all nice, and as he goes through, the jacket comes off. He starts pouring sweat. He's, he's sweating through his shirt. But yeah, they end up, going, getting all the money out. He apparently has experience as a teller, so he knows all the ins and outs as a bank. They have some fake money in the drawer. They have to have something in there to keep the alarms from going off. And then they take him to the vault, and they just found out that they got the information wrong, and the money's been already taken for the day. They only have like $1,100 in this bank.
So he's just irritated. It's immediately.
Yeah. And
like almost defeated,
Yeah, almost defeated. And he goes and he burns the register for some reason. I don't know why. No, I just don't know banking. This may be a question for Evan. Why he would do this, but he burns the register, and that really kind of sets off what's going to happen through the rest of this movie, because the smoke starts going out of the building. One of the people from the business across the street kind of comes over and investigates. And man, I got to say, the manager of this bank kept his cool pretty much this whole movie. Cool as a cucumber.
But one thing, like, I thought maybe he had some type of inside code with that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where the guy comes over and he's like, everything's just fine. No, like if there was something, like there was just something that he was always supposed to pick up on. If I ever say this to you, call the cops, regardless of if it's like a 10 or a 1 on a scale, you know what I mean? Call the cops, fire. So I thought that was cool. And the manager did keep his cool this whole time.
Even like going out and handling the dude that came in to check up. He's like, yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was there's that one little scene where he goes with that manager into like a back room to get something, and he's even telling him, he's like, I don't want to hurt you, man. Like, this is like, if you're cool, I'm cool. Like, we're all good. But they have like a little talk there, and like the manager tries to talk him out of it. But yeah, he remained cool the whole time. They ended up finding a lady in the bathroom, because now all these people are just like, I want to go to the bathroom, because they're going to lock him in the vault. And that just kind of sets up everything. But as they're interacting with these, they never really call them hostages at all. Them themselves. And even the police at one point make a point to say that. But not too long after they get rid of the guy, they get a phone call, and immediately it's the cops. He's like, listen, asshole, we got you surrounded. Like, immediately.
He's like, I'm looking right there. I'm looking you right in the eyes.
I'm looking right in the eyes.
This guy just staring at him on the phone. He's like, oh, my God. And from this point on, Pacino's on the phone for, like, majority of the Act 2,
And immediately, I didn't like the cop at first. Moretti is what his name is. He's played by Charles Durnan, which I didn't like him at first, but like by the middle of the movie, I was like, this dude is just, I feel like he's genuinely trying to work with him to get him out of the situation.
At first, it was like, I don't trust you. But halfway through, like you said, I felt like, okay, he does seem like he is trying to resolve this situation for everybody. He's not trying to hurt anybody.
Exactly. He knows that he's not going to hurt anybody. He knows the situation he's in. And then, as the movie progresses, the FBI kind of comes in and fucks up the whole operation. Yep. But I feel like if Moretti would have he would have had that shit handled. Like, I feel like he would have been able to, de-escalate that situation. Kind of going back and forth with what their demands are, what they want to do. They talked about, possibly getting in a car or getting on a jet going somewhere. And then you find out that him and Sal had a suicide pact at one point, where if this goes wrong, we're just going to kill ourselves.
Yeah, which is crazy, and the one thing that we kind of skipped over there, Sonny is whenever he's first talking to the cops, he's like, you better leave us alone or I'm going to start sending bodies out the door or something like that, and what's his name again? I forget. Sal pulls him over. It's like, were you serious about what you said? And he's like, serious about what? And he's like, about sending bodies out the door. He's like, because I'm ready. And I'm like, at that moment, I was like, this dude is nutso.
He said, I'm ready. And he stayed quiet for a majority of the movie.
He was so quiet, but he was nutso. He was the dude that was the most dangerous one in the room, 1,000%, even though Sonny was yelling and everything. It's just,
as he was trying to talk to him about hey, we can possibly get out of here. He was like, no, we had a plan. We're sticking to the plan. There's no going back, because I guess he came from prison. They said that he was in prison at one point, but he's like, I'm not going back to jail. Nothing like that. If I'm going out, I'm going out. There's so many little things that happen throughout the movie. You have going back to the guard, he has like an asthma attack, and they got to find out how to get him out of there or whatever. And you kind of get that bond with Sonny and Moretti, the cop, because he starts going outside because, Sal's inside with the hostages. They're not going to do anything to him. He's fine going outside. And I mean, you can look up clips too of the actual incident. They have like the news footage of him outside yelling at the cops and yelling at the throwing the money. That was real and shit.
And why was he screaming Attica?
Apparently that was like a real situation in history here. I guess cops did kill a bunch of innocent people at some point. I guess it was at Attica or something like that. I could be wrong, but
okay.
He talks about it in the movie a little bit.
Before our generation there.
Yeah, and that's why whenever he comes out, he's like,
Over there! Go back there, man! Get over there, will ya? He wants to kill me so bad he can taste it. Oh, God, he's gonna kill me. Attica! Attica! Attica!
That's so weird because our generation, I feel like I know that like guy yelling Attica from like SpongeBob or something, right?
All right, nobody move! This is a bank robbery! Attica!
I don't remember, man.
See me, I remember hearing that like on like some kids show when I was younger, like making fun of, not making fun of it, but like parodying it. Yeah. And like to hear what it actually, I got to do some more research on that to see what it actually came from, but I was real confused on why he was yelling that and like why the crowd was all hyping him up. But now it makes more sense if there was some type of previous event that kind of had society as a whole already all riled up, you know.
Everybody, they're literally surrounded like by the rooftops in these windows around these cars. They have barricades set up. They said there was like at the place there were like 2,000 people, like just cops and just bystanders coming around and gathering around. Now at this part, like the news is starting to come in. It was kind of weird to see like how they were doing that kind of stuff live at that point in the 70s, because it looked like these like cameramen had like they looked like Ghostbusters because they had like these huge packs on their back with the cameras that like wrap around their shoulder and like they just look like Ghostbusters.
And everything.
Yeah. And at that point, they negotiate the guard over because they didn't have an inhaler for him. And they ended up getting food, like got a bunch of pizzas and soda. They asked for beer. They said, nope, cannot get you beer. That's where we
get your soda.
Stick to the pop, buddy.
I can't get your beer, man. I can't. I'll draw the line there. I'll get you some soda. Like, I was, oh my God.
But yeah, the cop was trying to work with him for a majority of the time. But yeah, he starts winning the crowd over, screaming Attica. He comes out, he's throwing money around that they stole from the bank.
The fake money.
Well, the fake money and real money. But yeah, they gave when the pizza guy came, he just gave him a bunch of fucking money. And the kid was like, I'm famous.
Famous. And he just ran off. Like, oh
God. But it's so interesting to see, like, he's just coming out and just riling up the crowd, getting in these cops' faces and stuff. And I guess in the real story, they ended up getting like $25,000. It was that they actually ended up getting money in the real story.
Okay.
But it still ended all the same in real life. The lady, they offered her a chance to leave, but she ended up staying. Because she wants to stay with the girls there. She didn't want to leave them unprotected and everything. So, they're kind of starting to bond with them,
Yeah.
They're not hostages. And like I said before, as they're talking to Sonny on the phone at one point, the cop even says, like, he never mentioned the word hostages. Like, he knows he's not a threat to these people. And, they're starting to bond. They're starting to talk and joke around in the bank in between, just little things going down, like the guard having asthma. That's whenever they start coming up with the plan of trying to get out of the country, trying to get on a jet.
Trying to figure out any way out of this situation.
Yeah, trying to figure out any way out of the situation. He goes out and starts negotiating with him a little bit, and he gets pummeled by Maria's boyfriend.
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
In there.
Just out of nowhere. And he's like bleeding. Even the cop like helps him up and starts like, putting a bandage on his head or whatever. I thought that was ridiculous.
So ridiculous. Just so red.
Yeah, and then as they go in, he's sitting in there. He has like the bandage on his head. They're all sweating, and they find out like the AC was shut off. Like the cops, pretty much, they never officially say that the cops do it, but yeah,
the cops
shut the AC off, and they're kind of trying to go find out how to fix the AC, and the cops are starting to come through the back, and this is one of their other mistakes. He shoots a shot at him. I don't know if it was at him, but their way, like a warning shot.
Yeah.
And that kind of blows everything out of proportion from there. They had to calm everybody down, calm the police down. Like, this was, what are you doing in there? Like, what are you doing? You know what you're trying to do. Like, how can I trust you?
It was wild because they're screaming at each other. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. Like, just out on the like street.
It was literally they're saying the same thing for like 5 minutes back and forth. Like, how can I trust you? Like, you know what you were doing? Like, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Our communications are terrible out here. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go figure it out. I'm gonna figure out what was happening. Like, it's just, oh my god, it was chaos.
Yeah.
It just felt like chaos.
Yeah, and it's great. And like, there's so many compilations on YouTube of like Al Pacino losing his shit, and I feel like he's just losing it the whole like second half of this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially out there after that happened. They finally got everybody calmed back down a little bit. They asked to bring in Sonny asked them to bring in his wife. You do get to see, the cops show up at this lady's house. She has kids, are kind of living in the slums, are on welfare. She's pissed off. It's like super pissed.
She was like just going off about everything, and then by the end she ended up saying like, I don't know who did it. Sonny might have did it, but that wasn't him. You know what I mean? Like,
and then she was saying like she found a gun, and like not Sonny wouldn't do this. Like, and then she was like, is he trying to kill me? I think he might be trying to kill me. Like,
I don't know what she was talking about. She was going crazy, So I just kind of blurred all that out, so I don't even know what that part was.
Yeah,
it was just crazy. She was going off on these cops, so like it was just too much. I should have went back, rewound, just to see what she was talking about. It was too much.
You then get the real like kind of, if you didn't know about the story already, you get kind of the real twist of the movie here.
Yeah, I was very surprised by this.
His wife shows up, and it's Leon, and you find out he is gay. And this whole thing was to kind of pay for his operation, and just to transition, and that kind of like throws everybody for a loop. Kind of some of the crowd starting to turn on him a little bit, because this is the 70s. This is kind of not the norm at that time,
right?
But you do, in the movie, you get the support of like the LGBT community. They show up in a huge group. They're there showing their support. But then you start getting like the news saying it and everything, and then Sal's not cool with that. He's like, "Wait a minute, I'm not gay." He's like, "Tell them that I'm not gay." And he's like, "I can't control the news. What do you want me to do?"
It's so crazy, like how this dude's robbing a bank right now, but he doesn't want them to say, like, that shows you like the sign of the times. You know what I mean? But like, just like, oh yeah,
he's like pissed.
They called me a bank robber, but they can't call me gay. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you do find out that that's the big twist here. That's the real motive here for Sonny, and really what's going on. And he ends up speaking to him on the phone.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, is like, not only that, you get that twist here. Before he speaks with him on the phone, he gets a call from like a reporter that's just like asking him questions, and he's kind of giving it right back at him. Like, what do you think I'm gonna do? And he's like, well, why don't you like get a job? He's like, well, how am I gonna get a job? Or like, he's just kind of going back and forth with this reporter, and even Sal's like, tell him I'm not gay, or whatever. He's like, but he's like answering, and apparently that actually happened. Like, one of the reporters just like called the bank on a whim, and he answered, and he was like kind of asking him questions. But yeah, like you said, you get that in a couple of intense scenes. Like, he calls Leon. Leon finally wants to talk with him, but the cops are listening, of course. I don't know how he didn't expect that. Like, the cops are gonna be listening on the phone. But you really find out that neither of his relationships are going very well. This guy's been wanting to get away from him for quite a while now.
Apparently he's abusive.
Yeah.
Putting a gun to his head and everything.
Yeah. It's not working out there. And he even tells him, like, we can get away. Like, you can come with me. Like, this was all for you. And he just ends up like, no, I'm staying here. Like, you go ahead. Like, this is all you. I'm leaving. Peace.
Yeah. Like you're crazy. You rob bank, man. You're crazy.
Yeah, and then you get the then you get the other call with his real wife, and she's just like going on and on and on, just like, I don't know why you were doing this, like, is it me and whatever, and he just like starts fucking losing it.
Will you shut the fuck up and listen to me? Just listen to me.
You see that scene with the language and everything?
When I'm trying to talk to you.
But that was an intense scene.
It was, and it's just kind of like a buildup of his entire day. Maybe it's just like his entire life building up to that moment.
He's sitting there just like with his hands on his head, just like he's had enough at this point.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever I need to do to get out of the situation.
Yeah, and at this point, he's just kind of really, just wrapping up loose ends at this point, because
yeah,
it's either he's getting away or going to jail or he's getting killed at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And he knows that.
Yeah.
There's 3 options.
Yeah. And then, oh man, you get Sonny's mom showing up. They bring his mom in, and then like they have that moment out in the middle of the street together. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of crazy moments just between him and his 2 wives, and then like with his mom, just like these really like depressing and like or heartfelt moments. Like his mom just couldn't believe this is happening and just wants him to turn himself in. Like this could be fine. Like, just give up.
And he's like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I gotta see this through. Gotta see it through.
Gotta see it through. He ends up writing his own will, like who's gonna get what, if they, if he gets the money, or if he gets killed, or what's gonna happen. The FBI shows up. They kind of take over the investigation at this point. They kind of take over the crime scene from
muck everything up.
They fuck everything up at this point. And he comes in, he even gets Sonny to frisk him, and he goes in and makes sure everything's fine with the people that are in the bank and everything.
Right. More or less just check, make sure that they have this many hostages, everybody's okay. Nobody, just to kind of do a count on what's going on in there. Which I was surprised that he kind of let him in as easily as he did, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
and it really does make sense.
And every single time, and you got a real buddy at this point, because every single time he's out here negotiating or talking to these people, he's like, I'm gonna go talk to Sal, I'll be back. And he goes in and he's immediately like, all right, what are we gonna do? What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing this. And then he goes right back out or calls him back.
Put the gun on the people, just like the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, you look at some moments with Sal just chilling, some more like intimate moments with him where he's talking about the girl smoking cigarettes.
That's what I was
going to
say. The only real scene you really get with Sal himself is that scene where he's in the office with the ladies, and he's like, you really shouldn't smoke cigarettes.
You don't smoke?
No.
Well, why do you want to start now?
I'm scared to death, that's why. What, you don't smoke?
No.
Well, you can rob a bank, but you want to, your body is your temple, and he's just like, I don't want the cancer,
Yeah, and then
just...
he just like gets like mad about it. He's like, fine, you want to ruin your body, go ahead. And he storms out.
Don't even aim it at her or nothing,
so like, fine.
And just leaves. But that's the only real time you see any real character out of him, other than kind of the psycho that you think, or that they allude to him being. Because
like you said, that moment, and even when you said it, I forgot about it, was whenever he said, like, if you're willing to throw these bodies out, I'm ready. Like, I totally forgot about, like, that's a heavy like moment from him. And
that's why whenever he said the thing about the suicide pact, I was not as surprised. I was just like
okay, that makes sense. But yeah, you only really get like 1 or 2 big scenes with Sal. But for a majority of this movie, it's straight on Al Pacino's shoulders, like carrying this movie, bro, this whole time.
He was great, like you said at the beginning of this episode here, he was in a great position.
Yeah.
Actor wise within his career to be able to carry a movie like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, apparently, I saw this in a couple places as I was doing research for this. Apparently, he passed out due to exhaustion, like halfway through this movie. And you could tell, man, through this movie, because he's just pouring sweat this whole time. He's constantly screaming at people. Like, I could totally believe that.
100%.
But yeah, and then you go into, the third act of this movie, and you immediately know this is not going to end well. And at some point, either, they're going to jail, or, they're getting killed, or something's going to happen. And you know,
Yeah, and you
it's
get that
too good to be
moment.
true, because you see like the shots of the jet that they're bringing in for him, and you're
Yeah.
like, are they really going to let him get on this plane?
But let's twist back a little bit. We get that moment between Sonny and the FBI, where the FBI talks to him about, "We'll take care of Sal, don't worry."
Yeah, and that's actually a part of what the real dude, John Wojciech, had a problem with. He said that they insinuated in the movie that he was willing to cut a deal to get free. And his actual quote was, "They hinted very dramatically that I made some kind of deal to betray my partner Sal. This is not true, and there's no human being low enough in this world who would let the FBI kill his partner in order for him to survive."
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of one of the problems he had with it. Overall, he thought the movie was great. Apparently, they showed it to him in prison and everything.
He's like, "This shit's dope. Where's my royalty checks coming?" You know, like...
the only other problem he had was with how they portrayed like his real wife and his kids.
Yeah.
Apparently, they said like the actual quote was, "It looked horrible and inferred that I left her and winded up in the arms of a gay man because of her. This is completely untrue, and I feel sorry for the actress for having to play such a horrible role." He's like, that was just, they portrayed her all wrong. Like, that was messed up. But those were really the only two parts that he had a problem with. Otherwise, it was pretty much true. But yeah, in the movie, the FBI like offers him a deal. You know, give up Sal and you'll be fine. Like, we'll work something out.
Which he never says yes to in the movie, but he just kind of like walks away, and like the FBI is like almost like a touch your nose if you understand type of situation.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and and Sal
weird.
knew something was up immediately, because he's like, why didn't you? He's like, what was that about? Why didn't you talk to you in here? Like,
yeah. It's just like, oh no, it's just logistics. Trying to figure out where the bus is coming through.
Where the bus is coming, what's gonna happen here?
And I'm like, oh shit. He's gonna betray him. That's all I could think when he didn't tell him the truth. That's all I could think, is that he was gonna betray him, but he never did on purpose. You know?
Exactly. And then they pull that big ass like van taxi up, kind of. It's just like this huge car in a way. It's not a limo by any stretch. But he goes out there and he's checking under all the seats, checking in the glove compartment, making sure there's no guns, no traps or anything. They're setting them up. He specifically wants that driver at first, the dude that came through, and then he's like, wait a minute, something's not right. He's like, no, he's a cop. He's a fucking cop. And he's like, I want this guy.
Wait a second, he's a fucking cop.
Because the dude, at one point, he was like, I don't want anything to do with this, man. I was just bringing a car here. And then he's like, no, he's a fucking cop. Get him out of here. And they bring Lance Henriksen in there. Famous Lance Henriksen, you know, from the Alien franchise. He's been in a ton of other movies, man. He ends up being the driver. You could tell he's FBI right away by looking at him.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, you let this guy slide? Well, okay, whatever.
It is so funny. I don't know if you noticed this in the movie, but I noticed right away. You know, the dude that brought the car in, the dude with the afro, and he's like in the jumpsuit. They cut back into the bank after, you know, he wants Lance Henriksen to drive for him. They cut back in the bank because he's going to get the hostages to come out. And whenever they come out, the original driver that was in the jumpsuit is now in a full actual leisure suit. Like, he's in a suit standing next to the cop when they come out, and he's like in a whole different outfit.
I gotta double back and see if
I don't know if he had it below the jumpsuit or what, but when they cut back out, he's in a whole different like outfit, just standing there looking pissed off. I just thought that was pretty funny.
Oh God.
But yeah, they come out with the hostages like all around him in a circle, you know, just kind of protecting him and Sal. And as they get into the car, and the whole time as they're in this car and they're driving, you know, they got the police all around them. There's people cussing at them, throwing shit at them as they're driving past all these mobs of people. Lance Henriksen keeps telling Sal, like, keep your gun pointed up. I don't want that gun to accidentally go off and shoot me in the back of the head. He tells him like 4 times too.
And that's why whenever it happens at the end, I'm like, oh my God, you know, like whenever it gets to the crazy part there, but he kept saying it, and I was like, why does he keep?
Yeah, why does he keep saying that?
Why does he keep saying that?
But yeah, it's really amping up now. Like, it's getting intense because now, you know, like, this is ending soon. Something's gonna happen. They're on the way to the airport. They pull up to the airport, and it's like, all right, so how are they gonna get from here to this plane now? Like, I don't know how this is gonna happen, because now they're also surrounded by all these cops and SWAT team and FBI.
It just didn't look like a winnable situation.
Not at all. You know, this was straight up a trap to get them out of the public, get them out of that area. And they had a secret compartment right there, like by the driver's door, that you just pop that open and there's a gun. And the dude leaning through the window, you know, shoots Sal in the head, pulls everybody out, man. And that was a hell of a way to go out, man. And you could tell just by Al Pacino's reaction at the end of this movie, you know, going forward, he's can't believe it. Like his buddy now died in front of him. It's come to this. He's going to jail. And the whole time as they're pulling him out and he's sitting there on the hood of that cop car, man, you could just tell that like his mind's just racing.
And it's like the camera does a great job of like showing him just where his eyes are looking and things like that, and showing his face and his facial reactions to everything. And like you said, his mind is racing. He's thinking about a million different things, all just like as they're coming to him, and he's realizing, holy shit, like what even just happened?
Yeah, everybody, like all the people, the hostages that were there are crying now. And they actually show it too. Like they shoot him straight in the head, like in that car. And then it shows like Sal just sitting in the car dead, and they put him on that stretcher. And like you said, while he's sitting there on the hood of that car, they they roll the stretcher like right past and put it up in there with like, you know, the sheet over top of him and everything. And man, it's like it's so heavy, yeah, there at the end, man. Like it's just it's all building up, and it's just all going through his head at that point. Like he knows it's over, like he's fucked. Like this went extremely wrong. This could have been just an in and out thing. Like originally, he could have just got in and out.
You just gotta, you know, that just teach you a lesson to expect worst case scenario in these types of situations here. You know, because that's worst case scenario right there.
Yeah.
That wasn't even worst case scenario, because he could ended up dead as well. You know what I mean? But so Sonny ended up out as good as he could have. He's probably gonna end up with like a bunch of prison time. You know,
well,
but
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They at the end of the movie, they said that he got 20 years in prison. In real life, he did get sentenced 20 years, but he got out in 5.
Okay, interesting.
But he got out in 5. Now the story is the real story. They said that Sonny, or John Wojciech in real life, he's not the, you know, empathetic dude that they make him out to be in the movie. They said that he did win the crowd over, and the hostages, you know, they weren't ever threatened by him, or, you know, he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. But they said that the impression of him was a little off. You know, he was an asshole. Like he wasn't, you know, that guy that was trying to solve everything. You know, he's polite or whatever. I mean, he was screaming at people in the movie, but it was more so for a good cause, and they kind of made him out to look like, even though he's robbing a bank, they kind of made him look like a good guy in a way,
like a Robin Hood type of situation.
Yeah, and it kind of really wasn't like that in real life.
Yeah, like he was actually a dickhead.
Yeah, and then pretty much after that, he just kind of, in real life, kind of faded into obscurity. He tried to, you know, make money off of the movie. He would stand outside of the bank with a shirt that says I robbed this bank, like, and sign autographs for people. But he kind of faded out into obscurity, the real dude. But the movie lives on and the story lives on. It was a hell of a movie. I mean, I was entertained through the whole thing. Al Pacino, I don't know if this was his best performance, because there's so many damn good performances Al Pacino's had in his career, but it was fantastic.
I can see why people consider this a classic. You know, I mean, obviously the age of it, but this was a great movie that still 100% holds up today. You know, it was fantastic start to finish. It had me hooked on the characters. It had me intrigued on what was going on. I was just, and that ending was just, it was satisfying. You know, it was like a good ending.
It was a good wrap up.
It was a great wrap up to the movie. So it was just great the whole way through. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was great the whole way through.
Yeah, I fully agree. It was a classic movie. You know, there isn't like any action scenes or anything. You're not getting anything super crazy out of this movie. You know, it's a very down to earth, like real movie. Like you feel like you're there in real life.
It wasn't like a full blown thriller. You know, it was like a suspenseful film.
Yeah, but you feel like you're actually there while this is happening. And those are the best types of movies.
They did a great job as far as the director and making you feel like, as like all the camera work, making you feel like you were looking at the things he was looking at. And it just, like I said, I felt his anxiety the whole time, especially in the beginning of the movie when he was freaking out. I was freaking out. You know, I was like, oh my God, like, what's he gonna do? Everything's going wrong. What do you mean there's only $11,000 or $1,100 in the, like, I was just like, oh my God, this movie has got me hooked. So I can't wait to I'm gonna watch it again at some point. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it again now, but like it was great. It was definitely something that I could see myself watching it again in the future.
All right. Now I am going to introduce kind of a new rating system here for the show. I'm going to try it out. What would you say this is an add to your collection, VOD, or throw it in the trash?
Oh, VOD. Okay. Because this is something that I would love, like me personally, I know we're a little bit different on this. For me to add it to my collection,
yeah,
it's got to be great. You know what I mean? But that's a personal thing here.
I agree.
You and Alex both have huge movie collections where you guys buy awesome movies all the time. So I would say this is a definitely VOD for me. Nowhere near throwing it in the trash.
Yeah.
But if I don't think I would add it to the collection though.
Yeah, I don't think I would add it to the collection either, to be honest. But I would say for sure watch it on demand somewhere. You know, definitely if you can, if you haven't seen it, definitely for sure watch this movie. It's a great movie. Let alone just for if you're a fan of Al Pacino, definitely watch it. You know, it's him carrying the movie on his shoulders the whole time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a fan of Pacino, this is an add to collection for sure. You know, so but I like that rating system. That's a nice rating system you got there going forward.
So yeah, that's the movie. Make sure we do got some stuff in the pipeline in the works we can announce here. We do have a movie review of The Godfather coming out here in the next couple weeks. That's for the 50th anniversary of The Godfather, another Al Pacino movie. It's a great fucking movie. We'll have I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about that when the time comes. It's gonna be a good one because that's like a 3-hour movie. So we're gonna be reviewing that. We also got a review coming up with. We're doing American Werewolf in London with Joe Lascola from Movie Dumpster. So go check out their channel here. They got a lot of cool reviews up there. They're putting content out pretty much almost weekly. Almost every day there. Got a lot of great stuff. So definitely go check them out. And we also, I guess we can kind of talk about it here. We're
working on it. I don't know exactly when it'll launch, but we're working on it. We can go ahead and announce it here.
Yeah, we're working on a new superhero show. Instead of kind of doing little superhero movie reviews here and there on Cinema Trip Reviews, we're gonna have a new show called Heroes of Our Time coming out, and we're going to be covering every single major live action superhero movie in chronological order. It's going to take
literally
forever.
Every single one. This is going to take a very long time.
Yeah.
We already have a list of every single one of them where we're trying to just find them online, just do our research and make sure we get them in order as well. And the first one will be Batman 66. So that'll be the first one in the series. Keep an eye out for that. I cannot wait to start this series. It's
going to be us hosting it, and of course we're going to be having some guests pop in every now and then.
Absolutely.
So definitely be on the lookout for that. I would say that's probably going to be coming out after those other couple reviews. But that's definitely coming up in the pipeline here on the channel. Lots of cool content coming for you here in the future. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out all the other content on the channel here. Make sure to go follow Waves 5 on Twitter, and we'll see everybody next time.